Every trip down the supermarket aisle costs you cash. Not because you can't budget, because the entire setup exists to drain your wallet while pretending to feed you. Here's what nobody wants you figuring out. Grocery stores aren't built around feeding you properly. They're engineered around psychological triggers. The layout, the branding, the deals, all calculated to funnel you toward garbage that profits them while doing jack for your body. And it's accelerating. Food costs keep climbing. Portions keep shrinking. The temptation to grab whatever's convenient has never been stronger. By the time you finish reading, you'll understand exactly which foods deliver actual value and which ones exist purely to siphon money from your account. Here's the question you need answering. Next time you scan that receipt, will you actually recognize what helped you versus what just lightened your wallet? Let's start with number 17. 17. Eggs, the most slept-on powerhouse sitting in your fridge. One egg gives you 6 grams of complete protein. That means all 9 amino acids your body can't manufacture itself are sitting right there. Here's the reality check nobody discusses. Nearly 90% of Americans are deficient in choline. This nutrient handles memory and brain function. Where do you find it concentrated? In eggs that cost less than parking for 20 minutes. Unlike that lettuce you bought with optimistic intentions last week, the one currently decomposing into toxic sludge in your produce drawer, eggs don't quit on you. Keep them cold, and they last 3 to 5 weeks. No drama, no waste, no throwing money in the trash. My approach? Boil a dozen every Sunday. Breakfast sorted, lunch handled, snacks ready, zero effort during the week. Eggs work everywhere. Morning scramble, lunchtime salad topper, dinner frittata, baking ingredient. Show me another food that adapts like that. Good luck. The average family tosses $1,500 worth of groceries yearly. Eggs rarely join that wasteful parade, but protein alone won't solve your budget crisis. You need bulk. You need something cheap that multiplies meals. What I'm revealing next costs a nickel per serving. Literally 5 cents. 16. Rice. Think that price sounds fake? Run the numbers yourself. 20 pounds costs 15 bucks. Feels expensive initially, until you realize that bag contains 300 servings. 300 portions. You can't buy gum for 5 cents anymore. This is where rice gets absolutely ridiculous. I'll store it properly, cool and dry, and white rice stays edible for 30 years. 3 full decades sitting on your shelf. That bag outlasts your vehicle, outlasts your joints, possibly outlasts your relationship. Half the world's population runs on rice as their staple. Billions of humans didn't collectively screw up their food choice. Rice stretches everything. Pair it with chicken. Mix in vegetables. Combine with beans. It transforms a $4 protein portion into dinner for the whole family. 1 cup delivers 45 grams of carbs. Real energy that doesn't crash you like those lying granola bars marketed as health food. Game-changing tip. Cook rice in chicken broth, not plain water. Flavor upgrade complete. You won't look back. Speaking of combinations that create something neither ingredient achieves solo, the next item pairs so perfectly with rice that together they build complete protein your body requires but can't produce. 15. Dried beans. Here's a fact that should infuriate you. Canned beans cost triple what dried ones do. Triple. You're not paying for superior quality. You're not paying for meaningful convenience. You're paying for water and salt you could add yourself for free. 1 pound bag of dried pintos runs $2. Looks unimpressive sitting there. Then you cook it. That modest bag explodes into 6 or 7 cups of actual food. Multiple family dinners over several days. Your cardiovascular system thanks you too. The research doesn't lie. Eating beans 4 times weekly drops heart disease risk 22%. 22%. That beats most prescription drugs on effectiveness. Definitely beats your insurance copay on price. And 1 cup of cooked black beans packs 15 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber. Most Americans don't consume 15 grams of fiber in their entire day. Here it is in a single side dish. People panic about soaking. It's stupidly simple. Dump beans in water before sleeping. Drain in the morning. Finished. Your grandmother handled this without internet tutorials. You'll manage. Now here's the transformation. Remember rice? Mix beans with rice, and you create complete protein. Every essential amino acid accounted for. Meat becomes optional. Full protein for pennies. This combination has sustained entire civilizations across millennia. There's solid reasoning behind that. But there's a morning habit your grandfather understood that modern people have totally abandoned. 14. Oats. That plain oatmeal bowl he ate religiously every single morning was heart medicine disguised as breakfast. Oats contain beta-glucan, a special fiber that does something impressive. It latches onto cholesterol in your gut and removes it. Studies demonstrate 5 to 10% LDL reduction within weeks. Your physician would throw a party seeing those results. This is where oats embarrass boxed cereals. A large container costs $4 and covers 30 mornings. 13 cents per breakfast. Those sugar bombs marketed as cereal? Double the cost. Empty by Wednesday. Energy delivery matters. Sugary cereals spike blood sugar, then drop you hard mid-morning. Oats release energy steadily over 4 hours. You remain productive instead of experiencing that savage 10 a.m. mental fog where you're staring blankly at your computer, achieving nothing. Oats aren't breakfast hostages. Grind them into flour. Let's mix them into meatloaf as binding agent. My grandmother executed that move decades before social media existed. That same beta-glucan protecting your heart keeps you fuller longer. Afternoon snack cravings become controllable. Now, about food. Specifically, something regarding fresh versus frozen that'll obliterate everything you believed. 13. Frozen vegetables. Here is reality the produce department doesn't advertise. That fresh broccoli under the decorative water spray? Days of trucking across 1,500 miles. Frozen broccoli? Flash frozen hours after picking. Guess which retains more nutrition? Studies comparing frozen spinach against fresh spinach refrigerated 5 days discovered something surprising. The frozen had more vitamin C, not equivalent amounts. More. Your grandmother was accidentally genius every time she grabbed freezer bags. The economics sealed the deal. Frozen broccoli costs $1.50 and sits forever in your freezer. Zero guilt. No slimy produce drawer nightmares. No wasted cash. Prep time? Literally zero. No washing. No chopping. No inspecting for rot. Dump in the pan. Heat? Done. Americans waste 31% of fresh vegetables they purchase. Frozen waste? Practically zero. Which leads us to the absolute cheapest fruit anywhere in any supermarket. 12. Bananas period. End of discussion. Cheapest fresh fruit available. Also happens to be among the most nutrient-packed options. Single medium banana contains 422 milligrams of potassium. Your heart requires that for consistent rhythm. Your blood pressure depends on it for regulation. Most Americans run low on potassium. The solution costs a quarter. Here's where bananas get smart. How they age matters. On that spotted brown banana people discard? Stop. Freeze it whole for smoothies or mash it into banana bread. Those brown spots signal starch, converting to natural sugar. More sweetness naturally. Less added sugar needed for baking. Slightly green bananas? Different strategy. High in resistant starch that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and aids digestion. Same fruit. Different ripeness stage. Entirely different benefits. Nature engineered this brilliantly. No packaging necessary. No refrigerator space consumed. Nature's perfect wrapper. My grandfather joked bananas proved someone upstairs wanted affordable snacks existing. He ate one before bed without fail. Claimed the magnesium improved his sleep. Honestly, science backs that up. Speaking of foods with built-in packaging, let's address tomatoes, but not the type you're assuming. 11. Canned tomatoes. What shocks people? Canned is healthier than fresh. Sounds incorrect. But the heat from canning releases lycopene, a cancer-fighting compound. Fresh tomatoes contain some. Canned contain 3 to 4 times more in usable form. Scientists understood this years back. People still feel guilty reaching for cans. Meanwhile, a 28-ounce can costs under $2 and transforms into pasta sauce tonight, soup tomorrow, chili the next day. One ingredient: unlimited applications. Brutal honesty about fresh tomatoes. They're excellent June through August exclusively. Outside that window, pale, mealy, disappointing. Canned tomatoes get harvested at peak ripeness, processed within hours. Summer flavor in January. I've watched neighbors drop $6 on imported Italian tomatoes. I used California canned for $1.50. Was not one dinner guest detected any difference. Not a single one. Those cans sit in your pantry 2 years without demanding anything. No rushing, no spoilage, no money thrown away. Now, if we're talking budget protein, one meat cut gets criminally overlooked, while everyone makes identical expensive mistakes. 10. Chicken thighs. Most people automatically grab chicken breast like it's mandatory. Meanwhile, thighs sit there overlooked, waiting for recognition. Their only crime? Being cheaper and tasting better. Chicken breast runs $5 to $7 per pound. Thighs hover around $2 to $3, half the cost for superior flavor. Here's what gets ignored. Dark meat forgives mistakes. Overcook breast, and you're eating shoe leather. Overcook thigh, and it's still moist, still tender. That extra fat acts as insurance when you get distracted by your phone while cooking. Everyone's done it. Those bones people throw away? Save them. Freeze them in a bag. You've got homemade stock base that costs $4 at stores. Free value hiding, obviously. Professional chefs understand this. Walk into quality restaurants and observe what actually gets served. Thighs. They absorb marinades better, braise without disintegrating, stay juicy after slow cooking for hours. One family pack becomes 3 totally different meals. Grilled Monday, stir-fried Wednesday, shredded for tacos Friday. Speaking of jars earning their space, there's something in nearly every pantry that people catastrophically undervalue. 9. Peanut butter. Most dismiss it as children's food. Enormous mistake. 2 tablespoons pack 8 grams of protein for 15 cents. And search the entire supermarket methodically. A better protein value doesn't exist anywhere. Goes beyond protein. Doesn't require refrigeration until opening. Unopened, sits shelf-stable 9 months without complaints. No urgency, no pressure, no guilt when forgotten behind cereal. Health perspective. Research links regular consumption to 19% reduced heart disease risk in people past 50. Those fats aren't empty calories. They're performing actual biological functions in your system. Versatility is where peanut butter dominates. Breakfast toast, sandwiches, smoothies, sauté sauce, or straight from the jar at 2 a.m. Everyone's been there. Mix into oatmeal and breakfast sustains you until lunch, eliminating mid-morning vending machine wallet damage. Now let's give overdue recognition to something unfairly demonized for years by people selling expensive diet programs. 8. Potatoes. Thanks to low-carb fads, they've been labeled health villains. Like consuming one erases all good choices. Total nonsense. Here's what influencers skip over. One medium potato contains 620 milligrams of potassium, substantially more than bananas. Your heart needs that mineral for rhythm. Your blood pressure needs it for stability. Potatoes are absurdly affordable, 50 cents per pound. Sit in cool spots 2 to 3 months without rotting. Try achieving that shelf life from trendy greens. Bonus: naturally fat-free, cholesterol-free, and containing more vitamin C than tomatoes. Bet that specific fact didn't emerge at your recent dinner party. Want a complete meal under $1? Simple. Bake a potato. Load on beans and frozen vegetables. Finished. Dinner cheaper than gas station junk food. Here's the mic drop. Scientists tested which foods keep people fullest longest. Potatoes ranked first, above every other carbohydrate studied in research. Cheap food's fantastic. But cheap food without flavor is punishment. That's where the most overlooked ingredient in your kitchen enters. 7. Onions might be your kitchen's most underestimated weapon. Cost? 80 cents per pound. Pocket change you'd discover in couch cushions. Ask any professional chef what they absolutely cannot cook without. Onions top that list every single time without exception. Why? Flavor amplification. They take plain chicken, simple rice, basic beans, and transform them into something you actually want eating. Not magic, pure chemistry. Cook onions slowly over gentle heat, and harsh compounds break down while natural sugars appear. You've added sweetness and complexity without sprinkling any added sugar. Shelf life is almost unfair. Yellow onions sit in cool corners 2 to 3 months without problems. Fresh herbs quit weeks ago. Lettuce became slime. Onions, still solid, still flawless. What your physician won't mention during visits? Sulfur compounds making your eyes tear up are fighting inflammation throughout your system. Those tears are simply the entry fee. Italian grandmothers know this fundamental truth. Mexican abuelas know it. Chinese grandmothers know it. Nearly every cuisine worldwide starts identically. Onions sizzling in pans, releasing their scent. Speaking of aromatics costing nothing, one ingredient potentially qualifies as actual prescription-strength medicine sitting on your counter presently. 6. Garlic, what your pharmacist won't volunteer during casual conversation. Fresh garlic contains allicin, a compound demonstrated in multiple studies to lower blood pressure, as effectively as prescription medications. The cost? 30 to 50 cents per head. Your prescription copay? Likely $20 or higher. That single head sits counter-stable 3 to 6 months without any drama. My grandmother kept hers in a basket by the stove for decades. She lived to 94. Coincidence? Perhaps. But I'm not risking it. Trick most never learn. Want garlic's full benefits? Crush or chop it, and let it rest 10 minutes before cooking. That pause activates the working compounds doing the heavy lifting. Add garlic near cooking's end, and you preserve even more protective effects. Pre-minced jarred garlic costs 5 times more and tastes like pure disappointment in spreadable form. Fresh crushing takes 10 seconds. Your knuckles survive. Cancer research is genuinely promising. Large studies demonstrate regular garlic eaters have 30% lower colorectal cancer risk. Never roasted a whole head until it becomes soft, golden paste. You're missing one of life's simplest upgrades. Now, let's discuss a fat actually deserving kitchen space, while everyone else wastes money on wrong oils. 5. Olive oil. Most people have this completely backwards. They cook with cheap vegetable oil and save olive oil exclusively for salads. That thinking needs total reversal. Extra virgin olive oil contains oleocanthal, a compound that behaves in your system much like ibuprofen. You're not just adding flavor, you're seasoning meals with something acting like natural medicine. People living in Mediterranean regions figured this out centuries ago through observation. Populations using olive oil generously have 30% fewer heart attacks and strokes. Your cardiologist might charge $200 to explain that scientific fact. Italian grandmothers have been living it for free the entire time. Money math? Nobody discusses openly. Buying one large quality olive oil bottle and using it for everything often costs less than stocking separate bottles of vegetable oil, canola oil, and overpriced finishing oil. One bottle handles every cooking job without issues. Bottles labeled light olive oil? Pure marketing genius. Light refers exclusively to flavor, but not calorie content. Same fat content, identical total calories, less taste. Great deal for them selling it. Terrible deal for you buying it. Store olive oil away from heat and light. A dark cabinet does the job perfectly. Speaking of budget foods coming straight from cans, one deserves serious respect, while everyone overpays at the seafood counter. 4. Tuna. A single can costs $1.50 and delivers 25 grams of protein. That's identical protein payoff you'd get from a $10 salmon fillet at the seafood counter. Not a terrible trade whatsoever. What most don't realize, canned tuna is often fresher than fish sitting on ice at the store. Tuna gets sealed in cans within hours of catching. That fresh fish? Days on boats. More time riding in refrigerated trucks crossing states. Mercury is always the concern people raise immediately. So let's clarify that definitively. Light tuna contains significantly less mercury than albacore varieties. Because of that difference, it's generally safe eating light tuna 2 to 3 times weekly without stress or concern. My physician told me this years ago. I assumed there was a catch or hidden downside. Turns out, he was just providing solid advice for free. Tuna pulls its weight nutritionally beyond just protein. Those omega-3 fatty acids support brain health, help reduce inflammation throughout the system, and may even lower cognitive decline risk as you age. Think of it as long-term brain insurance packed into a metal can. Water-packed versus oil-packed. Here's the quick breakdown. Water-packed has approximately half the calories. Oil-packed versions tend preserving more of the omega-3s. Either way, it's among the best protein bargains in the entire store. 3. Butter. It spent half a century taking blame for heart disease. Turns out, the science got it completely wrong. The real culprit? Margarine. That plastic-like spread packed with trans fats that actually caused many cardiovascular issues, everyone blamed on butter. Look at what butter's made from. Cream and salt. That's it. 2 ingredients your great-great-grandmother would instantly recognize. Now look at margarine and try pronouncing even half the ingredient list without stumbling over chemical names. Here's where butter really redeems itself nutritionally. It contains vitamin K2, a nutrient most people have never even heard mentioned. K2 acts like a traffic cop for calcium, directing it where it belongs, into your bones, and keeping it out of places it shouldn't be. Oh, like your arteries. That's a pretty important job for cardiovascular health. A pound of butter usually costs between $4 and $5 and lasts most families an entire month. When you break it down per use, that's pennies per meal. And here's my not-so-secret secret. Vegetables are pretty uninspiring and bland until butter shows up. Add a little butter and suddenly broccoli becomes something you actually enjoy eating. Brussels sprouts go from feeling like punishment to tasting like genuine comfort food. Don't get fooled by fancy packaging tricks. Store-brand butter is the exact same thing as premium stuff, just without the marketing budget baked into the price tag. Save your money. Buy extra when it drops below $3 a pound. Butter freezes beautifully and keeps for up to 6 months without any issues whatsoever. 2. Yapati cabbage. This stuff outlasts almost everything in your fridge, sometimes even relationships. A whole head can sit there 2 months and still be perfectly usable. Meanwhile, that fancy spring mix you bought with good intentions turns into green sludge by Thursday. The price makes it even better. 1 head usually costs $1. Maybe 2 if you're feeling extravagant. That's approximately 3 pounds of vegetables for less than a single fancy coffee. Your grocery budget just breathed a sigh of relief. But here's the part nobody really talks about openly. Cabbage actually contains more vitamin C than a small orange. Didn't see that coming, did you? Most people write it off as bland filler, but it's quietly loaded with nutrition. The science gets even more interesting when you dig deeper. Cabbage contains compounds called glucosinolates. and they activate when you cut or chop it. Early research suggests these compounds may help lower the risk of certain cancers. Not bad for what might be the cheapest item in the entire produce section. In versatility, cabbage has serious range. Coleslaw, stir-fry, soup, tacos, sauerkraut. One vegetable, 5 completely different dinner paths. Just don't fall for the pre-shredded bags. They're charging you 3 times as much for cabbage someone else ran through a knife. Now, the final essential. The one thing your body's literally begging for right now, that 54 million Americans are dangerously short on. 1. Milk. Your bones are quietly begging for it right now as we speak. 1 cup of milk provides approximately 300 milligrams of calcium, which is roughly 30% of the daily requirement for adults over 50, just to keep their skeleton from staging a full-on revolt. Here's the part that rarely gets mentioned in casual conversation. Around 54 million Americans are walking around with low bone density. That's more people than the entire population of Spain, all with bones getting progressively weaker year after year. Milk does something surprisingly rare in the food world. In a single glass, you get complete protein, vitamin D, potassium, and calcium, all working together synergistically. Try finding another food that delivers that same combination in one shot. It's significantly harder than it sounds. If dairy isn't your thing, no problem whatsoever. Fortified plant-based milks can match regular milk's calcium and vitamin D levels. You just flip the carton and check the protein content carefully, because that's where things vary wildly between brands. Some brands offer 8 grams per serving, while others bring almost nothing to the table nutritionally. And don't overlook powdered milk. Your grandmother definitely didn't overlook it. It costs approximately half as much as fresh milk, stores for months in the pantry, and works perfectly for cooking and baking. Use it in mashed potatoes or casseroles, and no one will ever know the difference. The bottom line, so there it is, 17 groceries. That's genuinely all you need. Everything else in that supermarket is primarily designed to separate you from your cash efficiently. These 17 items form the foundation of every meal you'll ever need making. They're affordable, they're nutritious, they last, and they work together in countless combinations. Stop wandering the aisles filling your cart with overpriced processed garbage that doesn't serve you. Stick to these essentials, master them, learn how they work together, and watch your grocery bill shrink while your health improves simultaneously. That's the real secret the grocery stores don't want you figuring out. These 17 items give you complete control over your nutrition and your budget. Everything else? That's just expensive noise bleeding your bank account dry. The choice is yours. Keep wasting money on corporate padding, or take control with the only 17 items that actually matter.